Hi guys, and welcome back to Eight's Workshop. So yeah, we've been doing well, getting a video out every week for the last sort of 8 weeks or so, long may it continue. It's been a struggle to find the time, but I'm back with a vengeance. Subscribers wise, at the moment as we stand, we're up to 14,942. So if you haven't already subscribed, help us get to that 15,000, guys. Anyway, with that said, we've had some viewer mail. So one of the subscribers, fairly recent one I believe, reached out and offered to send me some gifts. He bought some tools and doubled up on what he bought, and offered to send me the other half, so to speak. So he's asked to remain anonymous, but you know who you are, and thank you so much. One of the things, well, in this very video I mentioned that my centre drills are sort of well worn, and the timing couldn't have been better, so I'll show you what's been sent. So first of all, we talked about the centre drills. Proper, these Osborne ones, they're British ones. The company's been around for years, make reamers drills, centre drills, that sort of thing. So BS1s, 2 of those, BS2s, 2 of those, and BS3, 2 of those as well. So probably BS3 is the one I use most commonly. Obviously when I'm doing small work, the other ones will come into play, so couldn't have timed that better. And I mentioned a few weeks ago when I did my 10 favourite tools video that I really like the little 3/16 folding Allen key that I've got, and very kindly, I'm trying to reach around the camera, a set of metric, I believe from 3mm, the smallest one, right up to 10mm, so it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 of the the universal flexible Allen keys. So yeah, I'm chuffed to bits with those. I think they're going to be in a future 10 favourite tools video, they could mix in with the 3/16 one. So you know who you are, thank you so much for that, and you will see them put to good use. Yeah, so absolutely pleased as punch with those, and again, thank you so much. So in this video we're going to make a what's it called, a spindle lock for the Mini Lathe. So without any further messing about and talking, let's get on with it, show you the plan. So more often than not, it's going to be this ER32 collet chuck in the lathe here, in the Mini Lathe. So I mentioned in a previous video that I've been using an Allen key to hold onto this while undoing and doing up the collet, and I'd like to have a drop pin, something that could, you can see the aluminium block here, something that could perhaps slide out and I could drop a pin in, or spring loaded pin maybe, push down, lock a pin in, get the spanner on, undo the chuck, same for doing it up. So I'm thinking block of aluminium on the top here. Now I'm going to make this multifunctional because I've got the clock that goes here in the tool post that you all saw, which is this one for clocking this way. But what I'd also like to do is, oh, bear with me, let me put that away. I use, let me grab it, this clock setup in the mill quite often, and I think perhaps if that rod, if it was a facility to drop that rod in the top, maybe lock it with a thumb screw on the back, and that would give me the capability of, let me just try and show something. I'm just taking it all apart, but as you can imagine, I can bring that clock down there and it would give me the option of clocking on top as well should I need to. Okay, just letting that run out back across there to put a finish on it. Finish was good, but now it's better than good. Yeah, I do like the way this fly cutter works on aluminium. Okay, so that's blocked up. Let's think about how we're going to hold it to do the rest of the operations. So the head on the lathe has a 70 millimeters wide flat portion, and then it angles off on 45. So I'm going to have this bit of the block sticking out the back of the lathe. So I'm going to treat central about is that 70, and I've just blacked it up and scribed a line just with my calipers, just as a visual aid. So I'm going to bolt it on top of the head, and that's going to be a bit of drilling with a DeWalt as opposed to machining. Those bolts will be long enough. I'll have to go down and countersink them a bit deeper, and they're going to be M5. So I think I could easily get away with 10 mil in from the corners. In fact, what I might do, what's the diameter of that head? Let's increase by a mil on what that head diameter is. 10.3, 8. Right, okay, 8. If I went 7 mil in from the corners, I'm going to be more than enough for the head not to bring out, so not to come out the edge. That's what I'm talking about. So 7 by 7. So it would be nice to know how wide that block is, and that is all about 0.1. It's 63 mil. So I'm going to write on there. Gosh, my writing's awful at the moment. It's all a bit squiggly. Right, okay. And 70 is that way. So I think I need to just edge bind on here, edge bind on here, and we're going to be, you know, within the realms of where we want to be. Have I got enough height for the edge binder? I've only got about 30 mil to go up, plus whatever the quill is down. 30 mil. Yeah. Okay, we'll put the edge binder straight in the chuck instead. Straight in the collet chuck. There's a touch. Where am I in? X0. Wind across 1.25. 2.5 mil end on that. Set X. Alright, let's come over here. Can I get far enough back? Oh yes. Let's just chew that up. Oh, only just. That is a bit of a... Oh, something to mention. To get my vise to open wide enough, I've had to move the blocks. Can you see them? No, you can't. Hold on, let me show. So the clamp blocks, which are here, normally live in this slot. I've got the part on parallel, so it's up out the way of these, and it just worked out that they're out the way, and that means that the moving jaw can come back far enough. I have done that a few times in the past. There we go, there's a touch. Right, Y0, and then... $1.2, Y0 again. So, there we go. Right, there was no need to tighten up the collet as I was only edge finding, and that tightens in there by hand. Right, back in with a chuck. Let's start do some drilling. So this is going to be the 4 bolt holes to bolt it to the top of the head. We'll start with those. Let's send the head up again. Let's release everything. Tighten the collet. Okay, that'll probably do me for height. Right, so 7.7. Oh, hang on. That is 7 mil. And 7 mil. Well, centre drill's seen better days. You know what? Don't like that centre drill. Let's swap to a different one. Let's try the other end of it. I don't know what that's been drilling, but whatever it was, that's better. I was having to put more pressure than you would normally think. So that's 7.7. If it's 63 wide, 7 from 63 will be my next point, which is 56. 56, yes. Wind across to 56. I'll make a note of that as well, because I'm going to be going round a few times. Lock her up there. Looks right. If it looks right, it is right. I knew this was tough aluminium, but the way the other end of this centre drum was behaving, it was as if it was a piece of D2 or something. Okay, so 70mm total this way, so 7 from 70, 63. I'm going to write that down a minute. 56 and 63. Okay, 63. Whoop, too far. Locked. Okay, we're through. Right, so I'm going to drill the other three. These two I'm not going to go all the way through. And then when I get to the end, I'll bring you back and we'll start doing the countables. So this point is 56. Yeah, it's repetitive, so where are we? No. Going the wrong way, eh? Yeah, 56. You get the picture. The last hole of the 4. The breakthrough point on the back 2 was 23mm. I was keeping an eye on the DRO as I was going along, and when I felt it breaking through, it was on 23mm on the quill DRO. So I'm just drilling these down to 21. And we'll finish them off when we're out the vise. Okay, so that's all 4 done. Now then, these bolts that I have pretty much are the thickness of the block, and the head thickness as it stands is, come on, so a quick look, should be 5mm, yeah. I think if I go 12mm deep, that'll give me 7mm a stick out, so 12mm deep from touch with a little countersinking bit. So touch is 0 there. I'm gonna have to bring my head down. Okay, there's a 0, go 12 from there. So we'll slow down a touch. 12. That's 11, and so with all 4 done, we'll just put a nice chamfer on the leading edge. This is the last one at 56. So I have just wound across until I reached a datum of 35mm and set a 0. So I know that's the centre of the world for now. So we've got a 0 in the centre this way. This way doesn't matter, there's nothing fixed. So I'll just leave the datum as it is off this front face of 0. So had a quick vacuum up. Let's have a think about the T-slot. Now, what have I got in the way of T-slot cutters? Well, I got this one, which would work, but it's a little blunt. And I got this one, which is far chunkier. It will fit, and I could make something that would drop into a T-slot that's got that size slot. I don't know what size it is, we'll measure it up. So I need to do a little sketch as to what shape T-slot I'm going to go up with. Obviously I can go up and down with this to make it wider in the T bit if I wanted to, which I probably will, only by a little bit, so it's not doing both faces at once. I'll do the bottom and then come up and do the top and then drop down slightly and do the bottom maybe again. See what we end up with, and then make the T-nut that's going to slide in here to suit whatever slot we end up with. But I do know the centre point is going to be fixed. Right, so I need at least a slot as wide as the shank of the T-slot cutter. Obviously I'm going to go wider than that, so I'll have a look, see what cutters we got and make a decision. So I've measured the thickness of the block at 29.7, brought the cutter down to touch on top of the block. It's a 5/8 cutter, this one. Brought it down to touch on top of the block, and I want to leave 10 mil. So set a 0 when I touched, and now I've set my quill lock over here, my quill stop, so that, can you see, let me move you across a bit. Oh, I'm wobbling you about. Anyway, so that when I hit bottom, 19.7, well, yeah, 19.69, and the quill stop here is locked off, so I can't go too deep. Cutter's nice and tight, 5/8 cutter. I'm going to sweep back and forth, maybe 1 mil passes, and then I'm going to step side to side. Oh, it's 5/8, so yeah, probably, what is that, 5/8? I'll have to have a look. I'm going to step it out and try and make a nice round figure in metric, because I like working in metric. Okay, so I've locked off the y-axis now. Let's come down. You know what, I'm just going to take a 1/2 mil cut to start with, just see where we are, make sure it makes sense. Okay, what speed are we going to go at? I don't know. Not used to working with larger diameter. I reckon we can easily get away with 800 RPM on that. Let's slow my speed right down, my feed speed. Let's get my WD-40. We'll run that across. That feed is way too slow. Let's see how this cutter behaves. But on the face of it, the cutter looked good. I must remember that this is tough stuff. Come on, eh? Cutter's throwing up a bit of a burr ahead of it, but it seems to be cutting alright. It's throwing up a burr everywhere. It does look in the middle. Yeah. So I've never used this cutter before. Just thought I'd give it a whirl. I'm roughing out, you know, it'll do. Might be going a bit slow, maybe. Head is locked, Y is locked. The only thing open is X. Okay, let's try a deeper cut. Well, I don't think that cutter is the best, but I think we'll get away with 2 mil cuts, maybe 2.5. Let's have a look. That's 6. 2.5 mil cut. 100th out. Yeah, I'm going to keep going now. 2.5 mil cuts. So that's 8.5. And we'll bring you back when we're done. So I've made a decision. I'm going to open this slot out to 20 mil wide. The cutter is 31 diameter. And that will leave me like 5.5 mil aside. I can always step across both directions to a finished figure, so it's only cutting one side of the cutter after. I think that's what I might do. So I'm going to go for 20mm wide slot, 14mm thickness left. Yeah, I've made a decision. So far we're 19mm on the button, and that was at a 2mm offset. So I'm going to go 2.5mm offset, and that'll get me in the ballpark. Come on, Bob. There we are, 2.5. That'll get me in the ballpark at 20mm nominal. Okay, I'm trying to think. It's difficult. When was the last time I cut a T-slot? Gosh, I don't recall. I have cut T-slots. I've done it with a single point tool as well. Yeah, you know, with a piece of solid bar with a tool stuck out a bit, and inched the tool out bit by bit until we got the T-slot width. You know, and cut it one side at a time. I've used T-slot cutters. I don't remember. No, I genuinely can't recall the last time I cut a T-slot. Let's say it was 30 years ago. Right, nominal 20mm. What have I got? It didn't say. Anyway, it's 20.03 was what I got just then. Okay, 20.1 maybe. 20.1. Okay, we'll live with that. Right, so let's change over, get the T-slot cutter in. You know what I might do is use the small T-slot cutter, see how it gets on, as a roughing tool to take the load off the big one. Right, wish me luck, guys. I've locked off wire, I've gone back to centre. I've got the smaller of the two cutters up, the other one's thicker. This one's not as sharp as, it's not as sharp as, shall we say. Let's decide a speed. What's that? 750. Let's set a feed. Everything's locked, head's locked, wire's locked, and I'm going to just gently with this see how it reacts. So that went better than expected. So this is 28mm and the other one's like 31.8. I'm going to go a mil back and forth with that. I'm going to leave it where it is. Now I've got a slight step, try and point in the bottom. I'm not quite to base, but that's fine. I'll finish that off with the other cutter. I could go down a little touch, but I'll do that with the other cutter. So I'm going to touch the other cutter off on that base, come back up like 1/2 mil, run it through. But let's offset 1/2 mil. Or can I do a mil? 28. I can do a whole mil. So I'm offsetting the part towards me by 1 mil. There it is, well, 0.995. I'm going to run that cutter through, offset the other way, go through again, and that'll take a bit of load off the other cutter. I'll measure the difference in thickness between this cutter and the other one, and I'll also remove a bit more, as it were, so that the other cutter on its initial pass isn't doing so much work. Okay, so I've swapped with the bigger cutter. Everything's locked. I've gone back to center position. I've done a touch off on the base and just come up like 0.01. So I'm expecting a racket again, but this cutter is a lot sharper, but obviously it's a lot thicker as well, but it won't be taking as much meat as that other one did on its first cut. So slow it down by 50 RPM. Nice and slow, I think. Let's see how this gets on. And I've tightened up that collet tight because it's cutting on the top face mostly. I'm expecting it to try and pull out. So far so good. Last cutter was very noisy as it was entering. This one's nowhere near as much, but it isn't taking as much material because I've roughed it out, so to speak. This may be job and finished with this cutter. Well, that went well. We're out the other side. No dramas. I'm going to let it run completely out because I don't know if we're scratching the base or not. I think we might well be. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we cleaned up right across the base there. Okay, these are horrible WD-40 messy grey aluminium swarf. I think a big cleanup is in order after this. And I've had a further thought. I did mention earlier over here having a hole down through to take the clock stand, but I think it would be better going in longitudinally. So yeah, I'm sort of looking across at the mini lathe. I've been looking at this, and I came to that decision that will give me greater flexibility with the clock. Nearly off the edge. There we are. Well, no dramas, as I say. Nobody likes dramas in the workshop. But that went oh, take the lock off, eh? Going up. Right. We have a T-slot in there. Now, I've been thinking again. I gotta make a T-nut for this. That brush is stinking. I gotta make a T-nut for this. And what I'd like to do... oh, that's horrible stuff. Anyway, what I'd like to do is... let me point at it. The underside corners of here, I'd like to chamfer. And I suppose what I could do, I know the angle won't be right, is use a dovetail cutter for that to chamfer those leading edge corners so that when I make the T-block to size here, it's not going to bind out on the corners. So dovetail cutter up next. So my dovetail cutter fits down through the slot. I've got a point with depth and lock the depth so that it's about a third of the way down. Right, so I think what I'll do, start the cutter up and move across. That's a touch. What is that on? It's reading 2mm offset. And I think I'll just come out the slot. Let's come across to 3 and we'll take a look at what it looks like as far as a chamfer when we're done. I'm going to call that. So I'll do 3mm offset both ways. And that puts alright, it's 60 degrees, but it puts a 60-degree chamfer in there. It's taken the edge off, a 1mm chamfer. So, yeah, while it was there. It's easier than trying to file it, trying to get in there with a file. It'll be nice and neat. At least I haven't got to worry about trying to get a sharp corner in there when I make a T-nut, we'll call it. Elongated T-nut to fit. So a nice little chamfer along there. It probably measures about a mil thick if I look at it, but it doesn't want to be big. So what am I, 6 point? Oh, I can't see my DRO's juddering. Wait till the cut stops and it should stay still. I'll leave the height. I'm offset by 8 an amount. It looks like 6.3. I can't tell, 395. The cut stops, 335, right, okay. So, wind back across 6.335. And we'll have the same size. Same size chamfer. Nice. So, been around all the outside. Last base. Put the chamfer on here. Said I'd use the drill, didn't I? So those 2 blind holes, let's just finish those off. I think I stayed a lot more shy at the bottom than I thought. Right, no-go on the bottom. Nice chamfer on those 4 holes. Okay, there we are. Right, that's the drill used for the first time in, I think the other day I said 3 years. I think it's more like 4. Anyway, that said, still works. There will be times when I got something set up in the mill and I need to drill something. I have the means. So far, so good. Yeah, need to stand it up on end now. I'll probably put a chamfer down these 4 corners as well. I'll leave the bottom just deburred, but I think the 4 corners could do with a chamfer. Make them look nice. And then I'll stand it up and bore a hole out of there to take the shaft of the clock. I think it's 12 mil, maybe ½ inch, but we'll find out. I got a ½ inch reamer, I got a 12 inch reamer, 12 mil reamer, so yeah, no problems with that. So as it stands today, is you'll be seeing this next weekend. This is a Sunday and it's my birthday, so enough time in the shed. We're at 5 to 4. I think it's time I had a beer, and this evening I'm going to have a takeaway Indian. I think lamb jalfrezi. What else? Keema rice, cauliflower bhaji, some poppadoms, chutneys and a keema naan. So that's my evening meal sorted. No wonder I got a bit of a stomach on me. Okay, so moving on. I've drilled and reamed a ½ inch hole in there, tapped a couple of M6s in the side. This is very much temporary. As a grub screw with a plastic knob. We don't like those. We will be making an aluminium one, and an appropriately or thereabout size piece of steel to make a T-nut. So yeah, I'll cut a piece of this off and off we go. cuts, 0.05 aside, climb milling this just for finish. I finished up at 14.95 offset in both directions. With down to depth, I may need to skim a little bit off the under face. I've gone to 6.3, yeah, 6.35 quarter inch. If that cutter I used was warm, then yeah, it's going to be tight. So yeah, I've gone to 6.3, give myself a couple of thou, and then if it is tight, I may have to skim a little bit off the back face just to reduce the width of the teeth, or the thickness I should say. Just run this off the end, go to the other side and do a climb pass at 14.95. Okay, come on, off the end you come, and do the lock. We're off the end. I'll probably finish these ends up square with a cutter while I'm at it. 14.95 we said. Too much. That's it. Right, run this cut. And I think we are there. Oh, that was literally about a 2 thou pass. Little tiny bit. I like it. Proof of the pudding, will it go the other way? May need to do a bit of deburring down on these top corners. But anyway, looks good. Yeah, they're very sharp. I bet that doesn't go in there. Ooh. Ooh. Right, okay. It does go in. Okay, let's clean some of the muck out of there, and yeah, so we're in a good position. It does fit. Okay, so we got good content this week, guys. You know, this, I think it's going to be around 45 minutes, so that's great. Yeah, the 1 hour one longs I think were a little bit too long. 20 minutes, I've done them, 15 minutes, but 40 minutes seems to be about the norm for me, so 45 minutes, right. So that's what we've got this week, somewhere around that. In fact, I haven't edited yet, so we could be an hour. But anyway, not to worry. So, comments. We've had lots of comments over, you know, from all the new subscribers, and I do read the comments and I try and answer as many as possible. The email address that's on the header for the videos, I monitor that about once a week, so obviously if you do drop an email across on that email address, bear with me. You know, I don't check it every day. I've got enough to do with my own my personal email and my work email and everything else, so that's what I check weekly, basically when I finished editing. So you know, I do reply to the emails as well where possible. So with that said, yeah, comments. It was mentioned to me, or somebody asked, have I got an Amazon wish list? I never really thought about it. No, I haven't, is the answer to that one. I don't know. You tell me, guys. Should I stick up a link to an Amazon wish list, you know, and put odd bits and bobs that I may need for the workshop on there? It doesn't feel right. You know, when people offer to send me something, then that's fine. But it's like when I'm asking, it feels a little bit different. So you tell me, should I, shouldn't I? I know a lot of YouTubers do. So yeah, I'll ask the question, see what the response is and whether I should do that or not. Anyway, right, I've ranted enough for this video. Thank you everybody, to all the new subscribers. You're very welcome here, and as I say, thank you for the thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, push that subscribe button. Let's get to 15,000. Let's, maybe by the end of November would be brilliant. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we will see you all very soon. Cheers now.